Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. Mad Mike here, and today we're going to be doing the latest installment of the Will It Fail series, and we are going to be discussing the Hellboy reboot that is going to be coming to theaters April 12th of this year. So I just wanted to clarify a few little guidelines about the Will It Fail series, and one of them is that I'm going to wait for as much information as I can, for the most part, before I do a Will It Fail video, because I need certain things. I do like to wait for at least one trailer, and as much information about the film as I can get. So right now, I'm trying to kind of do films. Usually I can do them about a month to 2 months before they come out. So that's what I'm going to try and do with any of the Will It Fail films that I'm going to put in these videos. So first, let's just go over the film in general. So this is a reboot. This is not a continuation of the Hellboy franchise that was started by Guillermo del Toro in 2004 and then in 2008. And Guillermo del Toro is not involved in this film. Ron Perlman is not involved in this film, and neither is really almost anybody who acted in the previous two movies. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way, and this is its own little thing, let's look at the director. And the director is Neil Marshall. So he has a bit of a limited filmography. It goes back to the early 2000s. But he started out doing movies. He started out doing movies like Dog Soldiers, which is a werewolf film, The Descent, which is a little bit of a weird, like, subterranean film about monsters and stuff and cave divers. And then after that, he started going into TV, and he's really done TV since 2010. He's done specifically TV. He did episodes for the Constantine television series. He's done episodes of Game of Thrones. He's done episodes of Black Sails. So he's done, but the thing is, those are all really high budget television shows. So doing episodes for those is a lot like doing things for movies. So I don't really take that away, even though it's TV. But Neil Marshall's the other thing. He also mostly does horror stuff, or at least fantasy type of stuff. So I like that he has a feel for it, and I think that the tone of what he's able to do will go good into Hellboy. And based on what I've seen in the trailer, I think that he's been able to translate kind of a fun, sort of snarky tone into the series, which is good. And the other thing is, during the production, Neil Marshall is directing. Hellboy creator Mike Mignola was involved in the writing of the script and the direction of the film, similar to what he did with the 2004 and 2008 installments for Guillermo del Toro. So that gives me some confidence in this film as well. So I don't take points off of the director. The creator was involved in the writing and the development of the film, so that adds some points for me. And let's go into the stars for the movie. So David Harbour is playing the title role of Hellboy, and most people know him very recently from Stranger Things. He was in Black Mass. He's been in a handful of things, off and on, a few TV appearances here and there, some side roles in movies and stuff like that. This is, I think, his first really, really big starring role, other than his main role on Stranger Things. So David Harbour is, when he got the role, and I saw an interview of this, actually, I think a few months ago, before the first trailer came out. They were talking about his physical transformation. And David Harbour, before he started going to the gym to, get bulked up for Hellboy, he was kind of chubby. He was kind of schlubby, and he even described himself as that. He described himself as somebody who really hadn't gone to a gym in his life for the most part. He didn't seem like he was incredibly out of shape. He seemed like he was, on average for somebody that's in their, mid to late 30s. But when you see him now, he's built up a lot of muscle for this. Even though he did admit that the chest piece that they use for Hellboy is fake. That's not his actual, like, ripped chest. That's a fake chest piece. His arms are jacked out of their mind, and you can see that in interviews. You can see that when he wears, like, a short sleeve shirt or something like that. So he's physically changed his body a lot just for this role, which shows his commitment to trying to make this believable, as that he's this character. So then you have Mia Jovovich, who everybody knows from Resident Evil. I don't think I even really need to name it. She's also going to be in the Monster Hunter movie, which is coming out, I believe, next year, which is filming now. And she is playing Nemu, the Queen of Blood. And not too much is given about this character. She's basically she's an Arthurian witch, and when I say that, like King Arthur, that type of era from England, and she's this very powerful ancient witch. So that should be interesting. Again, this is something we haven't really seen in the series before. Then you have Ian McShane, who is coming in to play Professor Bruttenholm, who's taking over from John Hurt from the original two films, or the original. Well, he was in the. His character was in the second film, but he wasn't. But he was in the first film. But Ian McShane, great actor. He's recently had good roles on American Gods, and he's also been a fairly compelling side character in John Wick 2, and he will be returning for John Wick 3 as well. And the only kind of downside is that we're not going to have a Liz Sherman character in this, from what we can tell, or an Abe Sapien character. Maybe we'll get that in like a post-credit scene or something. But those two characters do not appear to be making an appearance in this film. They're focusing on a lot of like smaller side characters, which all kind of seem interesting. If you want to know more about it, you can hit the IMDb, the Wikipedia page, and see some of the descriptions of those characters and what they mean to the franchise and so on and so forth. But the stars, I mean, it has an A class for stars. There's a lot on the table for that, and they knocked it out of the park. They got as many good people as they can, and the only question mark would have been David Harbour, but from what I can see in the trailers, he does a really good job as Hellboy. So let's move down. So the trailer came out, I believe, about a month ago, and the trailer, I love the trailer. I thought the trailer was great, and I enjoyed the first two installments by Del Toro. And, the reboot and everything like that. Okay, I get it. It's been 10 years, so I kind of get the reboot. It's longer than the Spider-Man one. It doesn't make you roll your eyes. I kind of get that. But that trailer really kind of hooked me on this movie. And it's kind of, it has a really fun tone to it, and that might be because of the background music. But it has a really fun, jokey kind of tone to it. The little one-liners by Hellboy in the trailer and stuff really hooked me onto it. David Harbour's portrayal and his believable dialogue and all that stuff really looked good. The makeup on him was really good. I kind of missed the man bun a little bit from Ron Perlman's version, but I can live with that. But it looked really good, and I liked what it showed me, and it looked really interesting, and it looked nothing like what we had seen in the previous two films. Now, I have not read. I've read some of the Hellboy comics. I haven't read the entire run, and I haven't read the specific comics that would be in relation to this story. So I'm not sure how it compares to the comic books in terms of what we saw in the trailer, but it looks relatively interesting. The other thing is that this is supposedly going to be rated R, and you can see that kind of in the trailer because Hellboy uses his massive pistol, and there is a specific scene in the trailer where it shows him firing it, and he blows a guy's brains out. Literally. He shoots him. They don't cut away. He shoots him in the head. Brains go flying everywhere. And that leads me, and they've been saying they're going to go for a rated R, and I think that is great. I think you need more rated R superhero films these days because I think you need to expand the market. Because right now, really, all you have is you have Watchmen from 2007, which did meh in terms of its box office. I love that movie, but in terms of box office, it did meh. And then you also have the Deadpools 1 and 2, and probably a third one, and you have Logan. I think you need to expand that a lot more. Oh, and of course I'm forgetting the Blade movies too, which were all rated R. But they're going to expand on that. I think the Spawn remake that they're doing is going to be rated R as well. But I think you need to expand that market. I think you need to. I don't think there should be a taboo on rated R superhero films, and I think it's good that a character like Hellboy is getting a rated R installment because it lets him finally branch out. You don't have to edit out his speech. You don't have to, clean him up essentially. And you can go with all the violence because I think in all the original two Hellboy movies, I don't think I ever saw Hellboy shoot a person with that pistol that wasn't like a superhuman or something like that. He shot the Krause character a lot, but he had like sand for blood and crap. But to see him actually using that and taking guys out with it was really, really amazing to see. And I think you can do a lot more with rated R than obviously you can do with PG-13 from a visual standpoint. Not just blood and guts, but dialogue and everything else. It gives you absolute freedom, essentially, with a superhero film, because you're not going to go to the point where you need to rate it X or something like that, but it definitely gives you a lot of breathing room. And now we're going to go down to kind of a question mark for this, but I'm going to try and do my best estimates for what I can. So they haven't given an exact number for what the budget for this film is going to be. But from what I've been reading, it's not going to be as much as the previous two films. It's going to be lower. It's going to be somewhere around John Wick 2 numbers. And John Wick 2 cost about $40 million to make. So just to give it some fair numbers, let's go with a midpoint. The original Hellboy was about $66 million. So let's go around the $50 million mark, plus or minus $5 million maybe, for the budget. So let's we'll go with $50 million right now. And again, that's just my estimate. That's not anything that is solid. That's just what I'm able to estimate from the information that I've gathered. So looking at $50 million, that movie could be extremely profitable. You'd only need to make, if you look at that, you would probably only need to make around $120 million to essentially quote unquote break even, which I think that movie might be able to do on its opening weekend if it's good enough. Definitely by its second weekend if it doesn't have a huge drop off. And a movie like this could make $300-400 million to be a complete success, and you can make it into a series again, except make it a little bit more regular than we don't have to wait 4 years for an installment. Maybe have an installment 2 years down the road or something like that if it's good enough. And you can keep having Mike Mignola be involved, and you can keep these actors because most of them are young. You can keep David Harbour. You can keep Mia Jovovich. You can keep Ian McShane. You can keep all these characters unless you're going to kill some of them off. And then you can maybe sequel. You can introduce Liz Sherman and Abe Sapien and introduce those characters anew into this new world and this new series. So my final verdict on Hellboy 2019 is this movie is probably going to do well. It's probably going to do really well. And I think this movie is probably going to make about $600 million at the box office worldwide. And I 100% think it's going to get a sequel. And I think if you have the same people coming back from this one to do the sequel, I think it's going to be just as successful. So, tell me what you think in the comments. Like the video. Hit the bell for notifications. And remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?